YouTube channel subscribers to Big Bill Anderson's Death Tours. I'm here at a very special location for a friend of mine, also a wrestling student when I ran a wrestling school for many years. I trained men like the Ultimate Warrior, Sting, Louis Spicolli, Frankie Kazarian, so many wrestlers through the years, the Angel of Death, Strangler Steve DeSalvo. Another one of the wrestlers that I trained was a man named Cincinnati Red. His real name was Greg Daves. As a man that I never called him Greg in the 20 years I knew him. I never called him Greg to his face one time. He was always Red to me. I'm going to tell you some stories about this man. Right here is where he is laid to rest at Riverside National Cemetery. I'm here on April 1st, 2019 to pay my respects to this man right here. And I want to thank Logan Xavier for telling me this location. I honestly did not know. I dropped the ball on this one. This was my friend. I was with him just a year and a half before he passed. I picked him up. We went on a little road trip to see my friend Tim Patterson compete in the World Judo Championships in Irvine. And Red was my buddy for a long time. I still can't call him Greg. He had red hair, and we called him Red I named him Red from the day I met him. I wrote in my first book, I've done 3 books on wrestling. In my first book, Red is in my book. There's several pictures of him in here with superstar Billy Graham and myself. Red is in my first book. If anybody wants to buy the book, I'll leave a description or a link to the website. But right now, I'm just here to pay respects to this man. And he was a Persian Gulf war veteran. And I want you to know, Red, you were always a great guy, a good friend, and I could always count on you. So, Cincinnati Red, Gregory Scott Daves, you only hear that in death. I never called him that to his face. I'm here to pay respects to you, my friend. I'll tell a couple stories in my narrative.
Gregory Scott Daves was born on October 17, 1974, in Athens, Georgia. I first met Greg in 1996 after his stint in the Navy. Jesse Hernandez and I were running a wrestling school called the School of Hard Knocks in San Bernardino, California. And Greg Daves walked in one night and says, "I want to be a wrestler." I asked him what his name was, and he said his name was Greg. I looked at him with his red hair, and I said, "From now on, and this moment forward, your name will be Red, and that is your name." And for the next 19 years of his life, that is what I called him, and most everyone else ever around him called him, was Red. Back to meeting Red in 1996. He says to Jesse and I already have my wrestling name picked out. My friends in high school called me the Power Lord. And no offense to Red, but he was 5'11", about 190 pounds at the time. And I said, "What, did you go to a high school with midgets?" I told him right then and there on the spot that I could see you doing like a baseball gimmick, like Cincinnati Red, tying in your new nickname with a gimmick that could be really believable, where you actually carry a baseball bat to the ring, you wear pinstripes on your tights or pants like a baseball player would, with the look of a Cincinnati Red baseball player. I told him, "You're just simply not big enough to be named the Power Lord. You need a gimmick that the fans will believe in." And I'm here to tell you that the Cincinnati Red name stuck with him until the day he died. After training with Jesse Hernandez and I, Red debuted in April of 1996 in his first match, and he used the name Blackjack Daniels. He was still resisting the look that I thought up for him, but by May 5th of 1996, he came around to the Cincinnati Red name and look that I had envisioned for him, and had his first match on May 5th, 1996, of the newly formed Empire Wrestling Federation that Jesse Hernandez and I created. And I'm going to tell you a story here. It's a bit embarrassing, but it needs to be said for honesty's sake. One night, Red and I were driving back from a WWF show at Buffalo Bill's Casino in Primm, Nevada. We had set up the ring that night with Jesse Hernandez, and Red and I were driving back in a car, and Red was driving, and I was the passenger. Well, during that show, Yokozuna and Owen Hart, two of my good friends, had given me a Xanax pill, and they said, hey, this will make you feel really good. Well, I'm really embarrassed to tell you this, but I started acting like a fool after taking that pill. I should have never done it. So on the drive back, I kept annoying Red, teasing him, pulling his hair, or just like flicking his ponytail while he's driving. And he warned me. He said, Bill, cut it out. I'm starting to get mad. I didn't listen to him. Well, Red reached over and punched me in the jaw pretty good. And I'm here to tell you, I never took one of those pills again. And Red told me that night, he says, I guess I just screwed up my wrestling career, didn't I? And I said, no, Red, you know what? I had that coming, brother. And that was very stupid on my part. And I also never held that punch against Red, ever, to the day he passed away. Never held that against him. Never even brought it up. In the late 1990s, Red and fellow wrestler Gary Key opened up the Grappler's Den, a wrestling school based in Oxnard, California. The Grappler's Den soon expanded into the Impact Wrestling Federation, and the IWF would run wrestling shows throughout Ventura County, including Simi Valley, Oxnard, Port Hueneme. Red continued to teach in wrestling schools, and one of his most notable students being future world champion Samoa Joe. He also trained Logan X, the man that I am most grateful for showing me where Greg Daves was laid to rest. During his career, Red worked with a number of Hall of Famers in matches such as Yokozuna, Honky Tonk Man, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rowdy Roddy Piper, Terry Funk, Sabu, Mick Foley, and Rob Van Dam, just to name a few. On May 19, 2001, Red defeated Little Guido to capture the Millennium Pro Wrestling World title. He held the title for 168 days. He wrestled all over Southern California, and it didn't matter if it was in front of 20 people or 2,000 people. He always put everything he had into every match. On May 29th, 2010, Red returned to Millennium Pro Wrestling and lost his hair in a match against Logan X, his student. That resulted in Rowdy Roddy Piper the distinction of cutting Red's trademark hair. On January 28, 2011, Red attended the Wrestle Reunion 5 autograph show at the Hilton Hotel at Los Angeles International Airport. I was there signing autographs along with superstar Billy Graham. And Red showed up that day. We took a bunch of photos together. It was really great seeing him. And he showed such respect that day wearing his SWO, or Spicoli World Order, shirt, a beautiful tribute to my student and best friend Louis Spicoli, who passed away at the age of 27 in 1998. On September 28, 2013, I drove from Phoenix to Southgate, California for a wrestling show promoted by my friend Bart Kapitsky to sell a couple of my books during his intermission and during the show to wrestling fans. And when I got there, I found out Red was there. I didn't know he was going to be there, and Red was actually helping Bart run his shows, book the talent, and help with the dressing room and get the wrestlers out to the ring on time. And Red sat with me while I did my autograph session, and we sat for several hours and talked about life. It was really great catching up with him. Just a week later, I had posted on Facebook that I was going to be seeing my friend Tim Patterson compete in the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships in Long Beach. Red messaged me and asked if I could pick him up in San Bernardino on my way through and take him to Long Beach to watch Tim perform. And I said, sure. So my son, Audie, and I picked Red up in San Bernardino, and we had a great time hanging out that day. Later that night, we dropped Red back off at his car, and I had no idea that would be the last time that I would ever see him. We did take several photos that day, and I'll post those here. Gregory Scott Daves was 40 years old and died of a heart attack on Friday, March 20th, 2015 in Victorville, California, while attending the funeral of another wrestler and promoter, Bob Bradley Sr. And I just want to say, Greg Daves, you were a very loyal student and a fantastic friend for 20 years. And rest in peace, Cincinnati Red. I love you, brother. My friends, as a little outro for this video, I wanted to make it very clear how much I appreciated Logan X giving me the information on where Greg Daves was laid to rest. The problem was when Red passed away, I reached out to a good half dozen very close friends of his, and each and every one of them, not Logan X, but other 6 or so that I reached out to, said that Greg was going to have no service at all. There was just a few friends gathering to pay their respects for him. There was going to be no service at a church. There was no funeral whatsoever. That he was going to be cremated and his ashes would probably be given back to his mother in Riverside, California. So I felt that was pretty much the end of it until just a couple of months ago when Logan X, the gentleman he is, paid his respects to Red's grave and posted that on Facebook, and I was in total shock. I reached out to Logan right away. He told me where Red was buried, and the very next time I went to California, which was just a couple of weeks later, I visited his grave, as you have just seen. So I wanted you to know how much I appreciated Logan telling me where Red was buried, and some of my other friends dropped the ball on me. I would have definitely attended Red's service at Riverside National Cemetery. Would have been an honor to have been there for that, but I had no knowledge of it actually for years until Logan. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, my friends. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe to my channel. Appreciate all you new subscribers. We're heading toward 1,000, which is a real big goal for me. A lot more things in the future coming up. Thank you very much. My respect and love to each and every one of you. And thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few moments with my videos. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Adios.